Good afternoon, everyone, and very warm welcome to everybody. My name is Anuj Sonpal, CEO of Valorem Advisors. We represent the investor relations of BCL Industries Limited. Firstly, on behalf of the company, I would like to thank you all for participating in this event. I would also like to thank the management participating with us today for giving us the opportunity to host them for our Valorem CXO Meet. Sorry, I'm hearing a echo, so I'll just mute the management for a second. Thank you. So as you know, the Valorem CXO Meet is the first of its kind virtual analyst meet event series. And our intention with these virtual CXO meets is to take advantage of technology platforms like this by reaching out to a wider audience and to create a better understanding and bring awareness about our client company's fundamental business, provide insights into their specific industries, financials, and future growth strategies. The format of this analyst meet will be primarily in a Q&A interview format, where I will start off by asking the management some broad level questions and then move on to questions from the participants. Please note that if you have any questions to ask the management, you can use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to post your questions, which I will ask then on behalf of you to the management. Before we begin, I would like to mention a short cautionary statement. Some of the statements made in today's event may be forward-looking in nature. Such forward-looking statements are subject to risks and uncertainties which could cause actual results to differ from those anticipated. Such statements are based on management's beliefs as well as assumptions made by and information currently available to management. Audiences are cautioned not to place any undue reliance on these forward-looking statements in making any investment decisions. Let me now introduce you to the management participating with us in today's meet. We have with us Mr. Rajinder Mittal, who is the Managing Director of the company. He has been associated with BCL Industries since the last 40 years. He joined the family business at the age of 21 with his late father, Sri Dwarka Das Mittal, in a small solvent extraction unit. Since then, the business has grown at a phenomenal pace, and under his leadership and direction, it is now a 1,000 crore empire. Mr. Mittal is a commerce graduate and an alumnus of Birla Public School, Pilani. We also have with us Mr. Kushal Mittal, Joint Managing Director. He's a graduate in Business Administrations and Finance from the Northeastern University in Boston, USA. He has experience in finance and administration. He has been contributing and providing necessary strategic direction in finance, cost management, and product additions to the company. We lastly have with us Mr. Pankaj Junjunwala. Mr. Pankaj is the Director of Swaksha Distillery, which is a subsidiary of BCL Industries. Mr. Pankaj has 20 years of experience in finance, strategy, and project management. He was ranked 5th in the state of West Bengal by the Agrasan community in his final year of schooling. He graduated from St. Xavier's, Kolkata, with a first-class honors. He further went to achieve a distinction while pursuing his post-graduation in business administration from Cardiff University in UK, and also has various certifications from CREDAI, IIM Ahmedabad, and Harvard Business Schools. Now, without any further delay, let's begin. You can take this, and if you can start by giving a brief history and background about the company, so that the participants who are waiting don't have any interruption. So, if you can just introduce the company, maybe take us through the journey so far.
Sure. So, good afternoon, everyone. Of course, I cannot be as elaborated as Mr. Mittal would be. I have been only associated with the company for the last few years. BCL started its journey well about 40 years back, and which was a very small one-accessory plant started by the late founder Sri D.D. Mittal, the father of Mr. Rajinder Mittal. Since then, it has grown into a 1,000 metric ton plant, since then. And today it is doing almost a turnover of about 600 crores in the oil division. In the year 2005-06, BCL ventured into the distillery sector, where it started with a small plant in association with a partner at Pathankot, which was Pioneer Industries Limited, where a substantial stake was done. And gaining that experience, BCL put up its own distillery plant in the year 2011 of 100 KLPD at Bharinda. Again, based on the success of that plant, BCL expanded again and went on to expand it to a 200 KLPD level. Now there are two plants individually 100 KLPD each at Bharinda, which are operating individually. producing 100 liters of ethanol and 100 KLPD of ENA, which is operational on a 100% capacity basis. Uh, since the COVID times, BCL also ventured into, the hand sanitizers product, which did very well for BCL. And we have already seen the last quarter how well the performance has been, as BCL was not shut for a single day even during COVID times. The plant operated at almost 100% capacity during the COVID times and still continues to do that. And now, of course, the growth story of ethanol is known to the entire country, how it is going, what is the deficit. And BCL has its own plan of expanding the ethanol through its newly coming up Kharagpur plant. So this is all about BCL in a very nutshell, Anupji.
Kushalji, if you could touch upon the three business verticals and their operations, and also the distribution, our capacity, our plants, our infrastructure. If you could just brief our viewers on our overall three business verticals, that would be great.
Yes, thank you. First of all, we apologize for the hiccup. The internet here is a little bad, but I believe our audio is clear now.
Yeah, it's fine. If you could just be a little closer to the mic, that will be great.
Okay, so at BCL, we are primarily an agro-based company. We started off with a small solvent plant, as I'm sure we mentioned. And from there, we expanded. And now we have a completely integrated vegetable oil unit and a rice mill, where we can process from an oil seed till the final pack. So our unit is consistent of a 200 metric tons a day refinery, 100 metric tons a day vanaspati manufacturing unit, a 220 tons a day rice sheller, and a 300 metric ton per day solvent extraction plant, and 200 tons per day oil crushing unit. So at BCL, at our edible oil, we have a few different brands under our own name, which are doing very well. Our mustard oil brand is called Murli. Our vegetable oil brands is called Home Cook. And we also have our own rice under the same umbrella brand. And we also have Do Khajur for Vanaspati, and the brand is doing very well. And we're also at the same time participating in contract manufacturing for Bunge and Markfed when required. But in the recent months, we have been trying to decrease our contract manufacturing, as we have experienced an increase in demand for our own brands during the lockdown and after the lockdown. So currently we're not contract manufacturing. We are concentrating on our indigenous brands and trying to grow them. And so in 2011, we diversified into the business of distillation as well. Since we were already an agro-based company, we wanted full vertigration for our other grains as well. So for example, all the byproducts that came out of our rice mill, we wanted to utilize them. And seeing that the distillery business was a rapidly growing business, we diversified into it with a 100 KLPD distillery to begin with. And seeing its success, we quickly doubled its capacity to a state-of-art 200 KLPD distillery in the village of Sangat, which is 20 kilometers from Bathinda. We are currently running on full capacity for the past few years, and we're seeing rapid growth in the industry from the perspective of ENA and ethanol. Last year, we were the biggest grain-based ethanol suppliers in the nation, supplying close to 15% of the total supplied quantity of grain-based ethanol in the country. This year, we have increased our tender amount to 4.5 crore liters, and which will be close to 12% of the total supplied grain-based ethanol in the entire nation. And seeing how rapidly the business is growing, we have decided to set up another plant in West Bengal, Kharagpur, under our subsidiary Swaksha Distillery, which will also be a 200 KLPD distillery, which will make us one of the biggest grain-based distillers in the nation. Where we value ourselves as opposed to our competitors in our distillation business is that we have the flexibility to use a multiple array of raw materials. As many distillers in the country stick to broken rice for its ease of use, we specializing in using a blend of raw materials depending on their market prices. And that's where we specialize in, and that's where we've concentrated most of our attention on. And at the same time, we're also into manufacturing of Punjab-made liquor, uh, where we have a few brands of our own, but that is a small part of our business, and we do not wish to concentrate too much on it moving forward. It will remain small. We are supplying bulk ENA to a lot of the bottlers in the nation, and we expect that segment to grow, and that and the ethanol segment is where we are going to focus on in the future. And lastly, we're also in the business of real estate, which was to, so we entered real estate just to, so that we can monetize the company's land bank. So the company acquired a old spinning mill for the purpose of utilizing it as its own spinning mill, but the unit was no good. So we instead developed it into a real estate project. So we have two real estate projects in BCL, Ganpati Enclave and DD Mittal Towers, both of which have been completed and are in the ready for possession situation. Both the projects are debt free, and we are monetizing on them on a monthly basis, which is evident in our result. At the moment, we do not wish to expand in real estate moving forward, and wish to focus on edible oils and distillery business in the coming years.
That's great, Kushal. Thank you so much for that elaborate background. Mittal, Rajendraji, this next question I will move to you. If you don't mind, sir, just speak a little bit closer to the mic again, because the audiences
sure.
Our audiences are complaining that the voice is a little bit soft. Mittalji, could you enlighten our viewers about the growth potential of the distillery business? With ethanol and ENA both being in high demand in the country, and there is a lot of focus on the ethanol side by the government, where they are providing several incentives. Also, recently we heard about them approving loans worth 12,500 crores to set up distilleries. What, in your opinion, is the growth potential in the industry in terms of value, in terms of volume, and also what is BCL's strategy to encash on this opportunity? So a little bit about the industry and the potential, and also what is BCL's strategy in this?
Thank you, Sampralji. First of all, I'd like to state that we have the aim to be one of the largest grain-based ethanol manufacturers in the country. After the commissioning of that plant, this Kharagpur, West Bengal plant, as mentioned by Kushal. So the benefits, the kind of scope in the ethanol / this distillery business is tremendous at present. So it's about 2-3 years process to set up a grain-based distillery with taking all the clearances. And since the Kharagpur project, we have got all the clearances, we have got that kind of advantage. Now the government of India has even included the grain-based distilleries in the soft loan package just now about 15-20 days back. And there is a long-term 5-year policy given by the oil marketing companies to take the supplies of this ethanol for 5 years long contract. Though we are not, you can say, bound by that quantity, but tentative figures we have provided them for the 5 years. So this foundation is only for 1 year. So that kind of flexibility the company have if there is a great demand for the, you can say in the NA business or the potable alcohol business, we can switch over some of our capacity to that. That will always be a blend mix, that the both ethanol as well as the distillery. So looking into the things that we have been able to utilize the 100% capacity utilization, even during the COVID period, where the resources were very limited and the manpower was very limited to the extent, you can very well imagine the kind of the rugged structure the company possesses or the managerial capacity the company has to manage the things in such odd conditions where the entire nation operations came to halt and we were working in that condition. So this is the basically this year, and you see that with this COVID period, there has been a tremendous change in the state's policy, which is evident from this year itself, that there has been an increase in the agriculture production to a great extent, particularly the rice, maize, and these coarse food grains, which from the rejection of these grains, we are manufacturing this ethanol as well as potable alcohol. So there is a tremendous availability of the raw material in the system, and the raw material rates have little been softened in this extent. So which can be evident, which is purely evident from the results, which we had the best results for this quarter and the half year 2021. And we hope to, you can say, continue this journey for a longer period, as the government of India intends to have the 20% blending target to be achieved by 2030. Just in this year, the blending target is near to about 5%. But this year, there has been a lot of, you can say, conversion from this potable L2 ethanol, and the demand for this marketing companies, oil marketing companies have gone tremendous. There are inherent benefits. This is not by compulsion or something else. This will save the precious foreign exchange, save the environment, increase the farmers' income, which are all these are long-term policies. And these are not some short-term policies. No, you can say government in the entire universe afford to have that the farmers are not benefited, which employs large number of people, and the environmental angle is there. The you can say import dependency is there. There are a lot many benefits attached to it. So we hope to continue this journey with bright prospectus in the coming at least 5 to 10 years.
Great, sir. Thank you for that. That was very informative.
I would like to also add about the edible oil section. Since you see that there is a huge quantity of surplus rice or food grains available with the government. About 2 days back only, the government of India that allowed the use of surplus rice available with the FCI with the enhanced rate, and they further enhanced the rate by 2 rupees per liter, because there was no offering from the food grain, ethanol manufacturers from the damaged food grain. So this type of things are continuing. And the other factor is that there is a huge import of edible oils in the country. The government of India is quite worried about this kind of imports, though we are in agro-based economy, but we are importing agro-based products. So it's the import substitute, and that is the reason that the company has been greatly benefited by this policy of crop diversification, and a lot of area, fresh area under this oilseed cultivation has come, and that has increased the capacity utilization of the units. And from the results evident from the last 2 quarters, you see that there is a huge jump in the sales of the revenue of the company from the edible oil segment. And that we hope to continue. We don't have to spend even a single penny to increase the capacity. Up till now also, we are utilizing only 60% of the capacity. That has been jacked from 40% to 60%. So that has given good earnings to the company without even a single paisa spent on the capex port. And still we have got a scope to go further in this edible oil segment. And with this, as mentioned by Kushal, that during this COVID period, the big brands which were out of the market, the company managed to continue its supply and reach to the kitchen of the end use. And with that, we have been greatly benefited. And now we are mostly about 90% is being sold under our own brand, and we have reduced the contract part of it. So by both these segments, we are quite hopeful to have the better results, better working with the company in long-term basis. The thirdly, about the real estate sector, we have got a ready-to-move inventory. That's about just 20% of the total unsold inventory in both the projects. 80% is already sold and occupied. So that demand for that housing, ready-to-move housing, has gone up considerably, as the people had faced several difficulties in small houses, may want to move to the bigger houses, want to move to the integrated township, where the hardships were, you can say, far less as compared to the living in the city part of it. So there is also some amount of increase in the demand of the inventory, which the real estate, the company is holding. So that's all. Sir. I think any other questions?
Sure. Thank you so much for that, sir. You talked about the Kharagpur plant. So my next question, let me move on to Mr. Pankaj Jhunjhunwala. Pankaj ji, if you could we are coming up with a new distillery in Kharagpur. Could you elaborate to our viewers about this plant, its capacity, capex amount, the market scenario in that state, and what are the expected revenues and margins from this plant? Just give a little bit overview on this.
Sure, Anji. So the idea of expansion has been there for a while, and while we were already very successful in the western part of India, having our distilleries in the state of Punjab, the kind of southwest market with Maharashtra and the central India, with Uttar Pradesh, were having sufficient distilleries. So the BCL management felt that Eastern India was the best place to put up the distillery, as West Bengal is already in a deficit state. And also West Bengal is the gateway to northeastern India, basically. And once Kharagpur was declared as the freight corridor of Eastern India, that is when we decided that we'll put up the distillery at Kharagpur, basically. So as Mr. Mittal said, there's a gestation period of about 2 to 3 years, in getting up the clearances and everything. So it took its own time. And by 2018-19, we were able to get all the clearances. And we were able to move on, with the closure of all the, basically the contracts and everything for the plant. We have already given the turnkey contract to Praj Industries Limited, who are the pioneer in setting up distillery. The capacity of the plant, as Kushal said, is 200 KLPD. And the plant we expect the plant to operate at 100% capacity once it gets operational, in the third quarter of financial year 21-22. The market scenario in the state is very good. As I said, it's a ENA deficit state, but we have planned that we're putting up the production into a split of 50% ethanol and 50% ENA, as both are in very high demand as in today's situation. We expect a revenue of a top line of almost about 400 crores, operating at 90% of the capacity. And we expect the EBITDA to be in the range of 10 to 12% to start with at the plant.
Sure. Thank you for that, Pankajji. Mittalji, I'll move back to you. You were talking about the edible oil industry, and we have, recently seen that the government is increasing the import duties to curb imports of vegetable oils, and also boosting domestic farmers to produce more palm oil and other vegetable oils in the country. What is your thoughts on this? Can India be self-reliant on its edible oil needs? And also, if you could touch upon, I think you already did, but on our growth plans on this.
Sure. You see that, as I already mentioned, that this edible oil sector growth story is intact, and the government and the entire, you can say, focus is on the crop diversification, and the best way for you can say, alternate available is the oil seed, because we are deficient in oil seed by more than 70%. And you see that India was self-sufficient in the edible oil section up to year 2000. It was only that the government did not, you can say, pro rata increase the price of MSP, and the farmers were more attracted towards the food grain. Maybe at the back of the mind, government wanted to be self-sufficient in the food grains and could ignore this segment. But now with this, you can say, huge stocks pile up and the huge area under cultivation in the food grain. So government, you can say, thinking or it's implementing its program by way of crop diversification and put this into the edible oil seed production by the farmers. So that has started yielding results. You said that the duties went up from 0 to 45 in 3 years. The price has also gone up because huge consumption by India is the largest importer of vegetable oils in the entire universe. So with this, it's an import substitute also, and the edible oil seed with the, you can say, availability of better kind of oil seeds available. The oil seed production is going up at a pace of 12 to 15%, and in near future will be this integrated plant will be greatly benefited by this increase in the production, and which is, you can say, now evident from the results of the company that the edible oil section, the revenue has gone up. You see that the second part is the government is spending huge amount of money in subsidizing the food grain. It's a food grain subsidy to the farmers, to the millers, to everybody, and facing difficulty in disposing of the. So that subsidy, if now is being diverted for the plantation of oil seeds. So that will have a double impact. Government will be saving subsidy on account of excess food grains, and the government will be earning by way of foreign exchange by reducing the imports. So this sector has a huge potential, and our company, being already present in the segment, have a vast experience, and one of the oldest company dealing in vegetable oil and vegetable oil seeds. So we have the ready advantage of the all the infrastructure, technology, and the locational advantage. So
Sure,
we
sir.
have a great potential. I see a great potential in this section of the company also.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Here also, the mustard seed sowing is up by 30%.
Right, right. Thank you, sir. So before I take the questions from the participants, I'll move my one last final question to Kushal. Kushal ji, can you? So the company had a very good financial performance in Q2 FY21. I think Mittal ji has already touched upon that. So can you elaborate again? What were the key drivers for this performance? Also, how sustainable is this? For the second half of the year and for FY21 and FY22?
Yes, so I'd like to say that I believe we've had a good first half, not just quarter 2. I think the quarter 1 was also quite good in our opinion. So I think why that is, there are a few reasons. So let's talk it segment wise. So first, let's talk distillery. So in distillery, we've seen an increase in the profitability in the entire sector. So there are a few reasons that are driving this increase in profitability. Firstly, what we've seen is the raw material prices are currently quite low. There are a few reasons for it. One, now the government has allowed the ethanol to be manufactured from PDS rice lying with FCI. So there's about 75 million metric tons of raw material available at use. So raw material prices are low, because we're a surplus country when it comes to grains. We've had a bumper crop, and we expect to have these bumper crops with a lot of the labor moving back to their home states. They've been allotted lands by the government. The sowing of bajra has increased. The sowing of maize has increased. India already has a surplus inventory of rice. So due to that, raw material prices are soft, and we expect them to stay soft in the coming quarters and in the next year. Another reason is that now the prices of ENA were earlier driven by a demand and supply. Now that the demand and supply is not as evident, because a lot of the supply has moved towards ethanol. So what drives the ENA prices now is ethanol. So we've seen the stability in the prices of ENA when our raw material prices decrease drastically. This is the first time that we've seen this happen in this industry. And that's all thanks to the ethanol policy and a lot of the supply being diverted to that way. So I believe that due to these reasons, our distillery segment did very well in the past, and it will continue to do better in the future. Also, one thing I would like to reiterate, the distillery segment, we are very bullish on, because as my dad already mentioned, that initially the rate set for the FCI ethanol was at 54 rupees 87 paisa. That was the rate of ethanol that was set for the rice that you were buying from FCI. Seeing that the industry didn't find this rate viable, no one put a quantity, no one tendered any quantity for this policy. Out of the 100 crore liters that the OMCs wanted, the ministry was very quick to act. They took our opinion why no one supplied, and they increased the rates of ethanol by 2 rupees. It was a very quick decision. It shows that the ministry is very serious on this policy. And we've already seen the ethanol rates for damaged grains being increased to 51 rupees 55 paisa, which will lead to greater profitability in the future. Now let's talking about edible oils. So in edible oils, we've seen a drastic increase in our turnover, and this is primarily because, as we already mentioned, due to our continuous supply, our brands are doing quite well, and we expect them to do quite well, because in the edible oil segment, once the consumer finds their trust in a brand and the brand is cheaper than the rest, they will continue to keep buying that brand. There is not much product diversification, let's say, unless you go for the super premium segment. So we expect our brand to do really well in the future also. And secondly, edible oil segment, as it is coming in the news lately, there has been a price appreciation worldwide when it comes to edible oils, and that is India is no different. So due to the price increase, of course, that affects the turnover, and the turnover increases. So that is another reason. Uh, we are we are quite. Our forecast is that the prices in edible oils will not crash anytime soon, because the government does not want it to. They keep increasing the import duty because they want the farmer to get a good price for their produce. So they want the farmer who has decided to go for mustard this year to fetch a good price when they come to the market to sell the mustard. So so to benefit the farmer, this is a segment that won't drop in its prices anytime soon. So we expect that to continue. And when it comes to real estate, we've actually seen that there has been an increase in demand for ready to move in and affordable inventory in our area. And we expect to liquidate this inventory in the coming quarters.
Thank you so much for that, Kushal. That was very helpful. Now, I will take the questions from the participants. Again, a reminder to participants, if you have any questions, there is a Q&A button. Please do not use the chat button. The Q&A button is where I will be using the questions to ask. There were some questions that were pre-requested via email, so I'll start with those. So the first question comes from Rupanjana Sur from Old Bridge. The question is, what was the ethanol OMC order size in terms of crore of liters for the OMC contract period 1st December 2018 to 30th November 2019? And at what price was the ethanol procured?
Yes, so the overall quantity that was required from the ONCs was close to 400 crore liters, out of which I believe around 280 crore liters was supplied. And when we talk prices, that is different based on what raw material is being used to manufacture that ethanol. So I'll talk about damaged food grains. The prices for damaged food grains in the last sugar year was at 50 rupees 36 paisa, which has been revised to 51 rupees 55 paisa, applicable from 1st of December this year until the end of November next year. And the tendered, the asked for quantity from the OMCs for the coming year is again north of 400 crore liters. And then there's an additional demand of 100 crore liters, which is from the rice that you buy from FCI. And so that is about close to 500 crore liter is the total demand they've asked for. I think the received received tender is close to 300 crore liters. And the price for the, as I mentioned, the price for the FCI rice ethanol has now been moved to 56 rupees 87 paisa.
Okay, the next question is, what was the ENA price per liter in H1 FY21, and any sense on the variations across states? If not, average price is fine. And how are ENA prices expected to move going forward? Any cost input pressure from grains, broken rice? I think you've already touched upon this, but any other additions if you have?
Yes, so for the first half of this year, this financial year, the average price of ENA was at 51 rupees 60 paisa for us. And so that varies state to state. So Haryana, it tends to be 2 rupees less per liter. In Bengal as a premium state, where it will go up to 4 rupees a liter. So I think the average price in a state like Bengal currently is at 55 rupees a liter. And actually, we expect the prices. It's tough to say how the market will react, but we expect the ENA prices to stay strong and possibly increase in the coming months, because we've seen many of the grain-based distilleries tendering a higher quantity of ethanol in the coming year. So there will be a shortage of ENA. And with the ethanol market dictating the ENA prices, we expect the prices to stay strong.
Okay. Another follow-up question is, how will lower IMFL volumes impact ENA prices? Are you seeing any impact on that?
No, we haven't seen any impact of lower IMFL volume impacting ENA prices, because now ENA is being supplied to a lot of aerosol companies are buying a lot of ENA now. So we haven't seen an impact of that as of yet.
Okay. How is the current ENA supply demand dynamics in the domestic market? Any additional distillery capacity required? What is the current installed distillery capacity for the industry? Do you have any insights on that?
Yes, so I believe the India-wide industry capacity is close to 250 crore liters when we talk of grain-based ENA and ethanol. That's the data I received from All India Distillers Association, and we believe that even if there is a capacity increase to close to 70 to 80 crore liters, there is enough demand in the market to cover up for it. As ethanol, as I've already mentioned, there is more than enough demand for ethanol, and as long as more and more ethanol is being supplied, then there will be a shortage of ENA in the market in the coming times.
Okay. The next question I'm taking from Agastya Dave. What are the timelines of the upcoming capex? This was early in the question list, so I think you already covered that, Pankajji. But just to reiterate.
So the capex is for about 135 crores, out of which we have already done the financial closure with the bank for 45 crores. Rest is being put in by the promoters. We have already put in like more than 50% till date. And it has been placed through preferential placement by BCL Industries. And we should have the disbursement starting from the bank in the coming month. And as I said, the plant should be operational in its capacity from third quarter of financial year 22.
Okay. And how is the situation on the ground right now? Are the equipment starting to come?
Oh, the groundwork has been, I will say the civil is almost 90% over, and the erectors are already there, whether it is Praj Industries or Chima or Triveni Turbines, they're already there on the site. The equipments have started coming in, and we expect next 6 to 8 months massive erection work to happen on the site. And we should be on track, absolutely, for the third quarter of financial year 22.
Okay. His follow-up question, I think, Kushal, this is for you, is on the YOY margin compression this quarter. What was the reason why there was a lower margin in Q2 FY21? He suggests that shouldn't the margins have expanded due to steep correction in raw material costs?
Yes. So is this for the consolidated, or is this just?
I would assume it's for consolidated. Yes.
Yes. So for the consolidated, yes, there has been a slight margin drop. So that is due to the decrease in the other income for the company. So the company has three properties on rent. One is it was an office space in Gurgaon, and one is to Cinepolis, and one is to Future Retail. And due to the lockdown, it's been hard to collect rent. So that has impacted the other income by 1 crore rupees, 30 lakh, 1.3 crore rupees. So that is the reason for the decrease in the margin. So if you look at the working margins of our distillery and edible oil segment, they are either better, and the distillery margins are better, and the edible oil segment margins have dropped slightly, because as we're saying right now, our primary concentration is to get into everyone's household that we can get into. So we've kept our prices very competitive as opposed to our competitors, and that is evident in our in the increase in our turnover and the demand for our product. And we intend to keep that same for the next at least 2 quarters. We want to get our brand out there as much as we can. So that's why the margins have dropped very slightly.
Sure. The next question I'll take from Pranav Gala. What makes majority of our raw material? Which grain will it be as a major part?
That depends on the prices of the raw materials in the market. So currently, it is primarily broken rice, because the prices are quite favorable. And depending on if maize prices are to drop tomorrow, we can include maize up to 60% in our production. We can make our product mix 40% broken rice, 30% maize. But how we are forecasting, our forecasts tell us that for the next 2-3 quarters, our primary raw material will be broken rice.
Okay. The next question I'll move on to is from Vijay Ramchandani. I think his first question we have already answered about the capex. Are we going to do this capex in 2 phases? No, I assume, Pankaj, it's all coming in 1 phase, right? Or is there a phase 2 to it?
Absolutely. It's coming in 1 phase. That is the reason we went on for 200 KLPD for the efficiency of the plant. With BCL expertise, we felt that if we put up a 200 KLPD and then again extended by 100 KLPD, the cost will increase by more than 50%. And we were able to close this 200 KLPD at a very, very efficient price with all the vendors. And we are going absolutely in 1 single phase, and we are going to operational at 200 KLPD.
Okay. Kushal, the next question is back to you. What is the outlook of the edible oil business and margins? Who are our competitors in this business, and what is the current capacity utilization? I think some of these answers have been answered, but maybe on the competitor side, if you want to talk about.
Yes. So there are a lot of competitors in this segment. So of course you have your the big players. Bunge is a competitor. Adani Wilmar is a competitor, and then you've got other smaller competitors like Vijay Solvex. They are a competitor, but during the last 10 years, what we've seen is that a lot of the units in North India have been shut down. Ours is one of the only few units that is still running. So in the state of Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, and Jammu, we see that there's good demand for our product because a lot of these bigger brands don't have plants in this area. So those are our competitors, and I've already said we are quite hopeful that India will manage to become self-reliant again when it comes to edible oils, which will be very good for the industry and the farmers. And our capacity utilization currently, I would say collectively is close to 50%, which is an improvement from the past. But the capacity utilization does not display the entire picture because we have a lot of different units in one unit. We have a separate oil mill, solvent, refinery, a Vanaspati unit, and a lot of these units are seasonal, like a rice mill. So when there is no paddy in the market, our mill will be shut down. So it is hard to come to 100% capacity utilization in our unit, but we're trying to come as close to 100% as possible.
Okay. His other question was, how much margin improvement can we expect as the utilization goes up, and what is our expected capacity utilization do we expect for rest of 21 and 22?
Capacity utilization for the current financial year, we expect to stay the same. And of course, our margins do improve if the capacity utilization is to increase because our fixed costs stay the same. So the electricity fixed cost, the cost to run the boiler, a lot of the overheads are the same. So yes, the margins do improve, but not by too much. It's tough to say what our capacity utilization will be next year, but we do expect it to be better.
Sure. Next question I'll take from Manish Dhariwal. What is the per unit economics of ethanol and ENA? If you could elaborate on that.
So ethanol and ENA are quite similar with one difference. So there is so ENA is of 96% purity, whereas ethanol is of 99% purity. So it is to manufacture ethanol, it is usually 3 to 4% more expensive than to manufacture ENA. And with the current market trend, we think so about 15 rupees is the processing cost, and with the current market trend, around 22 to 25 rupees is the raw material cost.
Okay. Next question I'll take from Mr. Arun Kejriwal. What quantity of ethanol have you supplied to the government so far of ethanol in this current year? And the new order that you have is for what quantity and by when is it going to be supplied? And also what is the change in price this year over last year?
So for the last sugar year, we we're currently supplying. We have 5 more days left in the current sugar year. So we supplied close to 3.3 crore liters of ethanol, uh, as opposed to 3.5 that we had tendered. The 0.2 is the difference during the lockdown, where we saw uh, a temporary reduction in the demand for ethanol from the OMCs. For the next year, it's we've increased our tender to 4.5 crores. And the price has also increased from 50 rupees 36 paisa to 51 rupees 55 paisa.
Okay. Moving on. The next question I'll take from Mr. Ishan Thakkar. What is our debt retirement plan?
So as we've mentioned before, we intend to be a long-term debt-free company by the time next financial year is over. So in another year and a half, we have a very realistic target to be long-term debt-free. I personally believe we'll be able to achieve it earlier than that. And the company has a small working capital limit of 115 crores, which we'll slowly reduce in the coming years. But considering our turnover, I don't believe it's too much.
Sure. His follow-up question is why are oil and vanaspati margins business low to only 2 to 3% margins? So I guess this is the nature of the industry, but if you could elaborate why that is.
Yes, it is the nature of the industry. Looking at our competitors, I think we're doing fairly well. It is a low margin industry, low margin, high volume industry, and that's just how it is.
Sure. Another follow-up question from Mr. Arun Kejriwal is what are your margins at the EBITDA level in ethanol business currently?
So for the half yearly, I believe it was, just a second, I have the figure here. It was close to 10%.
Close to 10%. What, just to add on that, Pankaj, what would this be in the Kharagpur facility?
So as Kushal said, the ENA prices are higher in the state of West Bengal, primarily because the state levies an import duty, on the ENA being taken outside the state. So we expect a better EBITDA at the Kharagpur plant. It should be minimum 3 to 4% higher than what we are achieving at the Bathinda plant.
Okay, that's good to know. The next question I'll take from Mr. Dinesh Kotecha. Kushal, back to you. This is on the balance sheet. What is the working capital composition? How is that? What is it today? And is there any room for improvement for this year, next year on that?
So the working capital, as I mentioned, is the limit that we've taken is close to 115 crores, and most of it is being utilized in the edible oil unit. Only 15 crores is needed for the distillery segment, and that is also, earlier we did not need anything because ENA is a cash and carry business, but now we've increased our supply in the ethanol, and the payment terms from the OMCs for ethanol are within 21 days of the receipt of the material. So it is a 5-day transit from here to the depot that we supply to, and additional 15 to 21 days that the OMCs take. So there is a slight difference in the ENA and ethanol segment. And yes, as we continue to earn good profit, we expect to improve on this as well.
Sure. A follow-up from him is that do you see any immediate or any roadblocks which can derail our future plans? Maybe a question to both of y'all, Pankaj as well as Kushalji.
No, as of now, I don't see there is any reason which could delay our future plans, because all the vendors, they have already reached the site. The construction has started in a massive way already, and the necessary advances have been done. The financial closure has been done for the project, And I think COVID has already reached its peak. I hope it doesn't reach another peak where we have to shelf out everything, which shouldn't happen at all by any means. The vaccination is going to come very soon. As the PM is saying, by end of December, we should have the vaccination as well. So I'm not seeing any roadblock, to be honest about this. And we are very confident that we should be starting in third quarter of FY22.
Sure. Next follow-up, next question I'll take from Mr. Rajesh. At present, what is the cost of raw materials? I believe BCL uses broken rice. So, Kushal, any number on that?
Yes, so the landed cost for broken rice at our unit is currently, it ranges from, the quality is, depends on the quality obviously, and it's ranging from 16 rupees to 16.5 rupees currently per kg.
Okay, and any other raw materials that we're using currently?
No, we use rice husk to fuel our boilers, which is at rupees 3.5 rupees a kg right now. Besides that, we're sticking to rice for now.
Sure. And I think a second question, which is the ethanol prices to OMCs for broken rice and surplus rice for 2021. I think you already answered that.
Yes, 51 rupees, 55 paisa.
Sure. Next question I'll take from Mr. Himanshu Shah. To prepare 1 liter of ethanol, how much kg of grains are required? And what are the other costs that that the manufacturing cost of that go into the manufacturing of ethanol ENA?
Yes, so the industry average recovery is so for a ton of broken rice, the industry tends to get 450 liters of ethanol, and you deduct 4% from that, which will be about 432 liters of ethanol and 450 liters of ENA, and that is the recovery. And besides that, yes, there are additional costs. There are costs to there's significant cost to run the boiler for steam and power, and staff and finance costs. So that, as I mentioned earlier, that is close to that is a little north of 15 rupees a liter are the additional costs.
So his question was actually what to prepare 1 liter of ethanol, how much kg of grains are required? Any on that? Would you know?
So how many kg of grains? So divide. So close to 2.2.
Okay. So one liter of ethanol requires 2.2 kgs of grain.
Yes, 2.2 is for ENA, and for ethanol would be 2.31.
Sure. Moving on, the next question is from Mr. Abhimanyu Thakkar. Have we got logistics advantage when it comes to raw materials since we are close to Punjab?
Yes, so when we decided to build both our distilleries, actually, I think both we have a huge logistical advantage. I'm sure Mr. Junjunwala will speak for the logistical advantages of the Swaksha unit in West Bengal, but I'll speak for the one we have here. So this is a big paddy belt where we are. So we have an ample raw material available in terms of rice husk or broken rice where we are, and also Bathinda is right on the border of Rajasthan, so that helps us against our competitors when we want to supply ENA to states that are south of Punjab. So that is a logistical advantage that we have because we're on the border of both Haryana and Rajasthan where we are.
So to add to the Kharagpur plant, again, the advantage that West Bengal has been one of the biggest paddy producer in the country. And Kharagpur is almost on the border of both Bihar and Orissa. And being declared as the freight corridor of India, we don't see any problem in the availability of raw material because we will be having it all from West Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, wherever wherever we can source it from cheaper.
Sure. The next question I'll take from Mr. Karthik from Unify. Ethanol from B-heavy molasses gives an EBITDA margin of around 20%, and direct maybe around 20 to 23%, but we are at about 12%. Could you please explain how the structure is different? I understand raw material and pricing are factors. Anything else?
I won't be able to speak for B heavy molasses because I don't know enough about the industry. As mentioned earlier, I'm quite hopeful that we will increase our margins as we expect the grain prices to remain soft in the coming months.
Okay. Next question I will take from Mr. Abhishek Agarwal. Do we have any plans to restructure company business? Edible oil business is dragging performance of the entire company and in fact valuations. Are we looking to take edible business private and keep the distillery business listed?
No, we've heard that before. People have recommended that, but as I've mentioned, that we look at this business as one. We believe we are a diversified agro processing company, and a lot of our materials, a lot of the end products that we have in our edible oil unit, like rice plant DOC, they have some of a use in our other. They can be used as a raw material for DDGS in our other units. So. Since our products are interlinked, we have no intention to restructure.
Okay. Next question I will take from Mr. Nikhil Chaudhary. Can you list a few competitors in the ENA space that I understand the ethanol competing with the sugar mills. So on the ENA space, who do you consider as your core competitors?
So, I mean, ethanol, you mentioning sugar. So you mean substitutes for ENA?
Yeah. So other ENA manufacturers in your area, which I would assume all the distilleries. So who do you consider are your?
Yes. All the distilleries in the area are our competitors.
And how many of these are there? Any big ones?
So there are very few big grain-based distillers in the nation. So let's say Oasis Group is one, Global Spirits is one, CDBL in Chandigarh is quite big, IFB Agro in Bengal. So they are the ones, Rajasthan Liquors. So they're the ones that come to my mind, but there are not very many grain-based distillers in the country.
Okay. A follow-up question from Pranav Gala is that he's asking that 20 to 25 rupees is the blended cost of grain for ethanol. Is that correct? And the processing cost is about 50 rupees. Is that correct?
15
rupees.
Yeah, 15 rupees.
Okay. Great. That were all the questions from everybody. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And thank you, Kushalji and Pankajji. These were all the questions for today. I'm sure this has been very educational for every one of us. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for participating.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.